beneath me. I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Puny god.
What is up? What's going on, guys? Trizzle here, tuning in, bringing you guys another great 3-star tutorial. And man, oh man, do we have a doozy today. We are going to be going over Town Hall 13, 12, 11, and 10 Pekka Smash, y'all. And it's going to be current meta. That's right, guys. Seige Barracks in the Heezy. Hashtag PS I hate you, hashtag Seige Smash, hashtag Hulk Smash. Let's go. So those of you that are excited as I am, I know this is a very, very strong raid. And without further ado, we're not going to waste too much time, guys. We're going to hop right into it, starting, of course, with the army. I'm going to go ahead and put timestamps down below. So we'll try to break this down into Town Hall 13, 12, 11, and 10. So whatever town hall you are, go ahead and jump to the corresponding timestamp. That way you can learn how to execute this raid for your town hall. The way it's going to be laid out, I am going to go through the step-by-step tips for success, as well as the raid objectives. That way, whatever town hall you're at, you can follow through, and then you're going to want to skip to the timestamp. That way you can see the actual raid in action. So of course, starting with the army, and this is going to be for Town Hall 13, guys. We're going to be starting off with 1 archer, 2 wizards, 4 healers, 5 Pekkas, 1 Electro Dragon, and then 10 bowlers. For your siege machine, you're going to be using a Seige Barracks, and for your CC, you're going to be using max Hogs. For your Grand Warden, you're going to be using the ground mode, and that's going to be it, guys. As far as your spells for Town Hall 13, you're going to be using 1 heal spell, 2 rage spells, 1 poison spell, 4 earthquake spells, and then of course a jump in your CC. Now, we do have a subtle variation on this raid. There's actually an alternative to the 4 earthquake spells where you can bring all jump spells, and I'm actually going to go over that spell breakdown now, and then later on I'll talk about the correct applications for that. So starting with the jump spells, this is going to be for Town Hall 13, 12, and 11. You'll actually bring 3 jump spells, 2 rage spells, 1 poison spell, a CC heal, and then of course I'll get into the Town Hall 10 spells once I go over the army. So that's going to wrap it up for Town Hall 13, starting with Town Hall, well next, that's going to bring us to Town Hall 12 for the army. And for Town Hall 12, it's pretty much the same. It's 1 archer, 2 wizards, 4 healers, 5 Pekkas, 1 Electro Dragon, and then 10 bowlers. Again, Seige Barracks for the siege machine. Then, of course, a CC full of Hogs for your CC troops. Grand Warden, of course, that's ground mode. That goes without saying. And then that, of course, is going to lead us into the spells for Town Hall 12, which is going to be the same. 1 heal, 2 rage, 1 poison, 4 earthquake spells, and then of course 1 CC spell that will be your jump spell. Now for Town Hall 11, this is where the army changes slightly, just because of the camp space that you'll have. You'll have to make a slight adjustment. So you're going to be bringing 1 wizard, 4 healers, 4 Pekkas, an Electro Dragon, a Baby Dragon, 10 bowlers. Of course, you'll bring the Seige Barracks, your max CC Hogs, and Grand Warden, needs to be set to ground mode. As far as your spells, again, it's 1 heal, 2 rage, 1 poison, 4 earthquake spells, and 1 jump spell for your CC. Now, Town Hall 10. This is where it takes a little bit of a shift in terms of spells. Of course, since you're going to be using a much smaller camp space for Town Hall 10 versus, let's say, Town Hall 12 or 13, you're going to be bringing less troops. So because of those adjustments, we'll be bringing 1 wizard, 4 healers, 4 Pekkas, 2 baby dragons, 10 bowlers, a siege barracks for your siege machine, and then of course CC Hogs. For your spells, and because Town Hall 10 also has less spell space, you're actually going to bring 1 heal spell, 2 raid spells, 2 jump spells, a poison spell, and then you'll also be bringing a freeze spell, which is actually pretty cool because the other spell combinations for the other town halls don't allow you to bring that. Now, of course, that's going to bring us into the tips for success, guys. You always want to start off with number 1, very crucial. Scout the base and plan your attack. Make sure that you determine the best place to drop your earthquake spells along with the best side of the base to attack. Remember, number 2, CC troops need to be taken out by your army as soon as possible. Number 3, against max bases, you have to use max troops and max heroes only. Number 4, there are 2 main versions of this raid based on using earthquake spells or all jump spells, and again, I'll go over the best application for both. For 95% of all of the raids that you'll come across for Town Hall 11, 12, and 13, you'll end up using 4 earthquake spells to open up the core of the base, and that also includes your anti 2-star ring bases. And then for Town Hall 10s and the other 5% of Town Hall 11, 12, and 13 bases that have an extremely open layout, you'll get much more value from using all jump spells instead of using 4 earthquake spells. Now, there's 2 main things that will make or break this raid success, guys. The first thing is the most important thing. That is the opening funnel, guys. It's so crucial that you get that right. The next thing is going to be your spell management. Very important that you manage your spells accordingly. Of course, the next item is going to be the main difference across each town hall is primarily your opening funneling troops. Master your opening funnel to guarantee the highest 3-star hit rate. Now, what I've noticed is that bringing CC Hogs seems to be the most effective, but I have also found success using a Pekka and an Ice Golem, as well as an E-Drag and or Loons in the CC. So go ahead and experiment with that, guys. Make sure you find what works for you and what works best for the base. So like I said, I've done some trial and error myself, so you can take that for what it's worth. Now stop. Hold that thought, guys.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message. I love you. Now, back to our show.
Now, this is very crucial, guys, because as we're kind of learning this raid together, there may be some shifts in the meta, some nerfs, some buffs, and what I wanted to tell you guys has to do with your Royal Champion. If you want to make the most out of your Hogs in the CC, you actually want to time the Royal Champion with a delayed release. You actually want to wait until the Siege Barracks is about to go down, so right when you see the Hogs come out and you see what direction they're going to, go ahead and place the Royal Champion on that side. That way she can actually get ahead, tank for your Hogs, and that's going to allow them to stay up, a lot of them actually near till the end of the raid.
We now return to your regular programming.
But I have also found that an extra pro tip to really maximize the Hogs, use cleanup troops to help distract any wizard towers and any splash damage that can target your Hogs. The last one, of course, and I've said this before, practice, memorize those raid objectives, and practice some more, guys. I can't stress that enough. Now, that's going to bring us into the actual raid objectives for the raid, starting with number 1. Always start by scouting the base so you can determine the best place to drop your earthquake spells and the best side of the base to attack. Your earthquake spells and your jump spells need to be deployed so that your army can move unimpeded from the first attack point with the jump spell through the Eagle Artillery and the core, accessing as many infernos as possible as soon as possible on the way to the town hall. That's a mouthful. Number 2, plan your opening for the funnel and the entry point for your army. The kill squad has to be able to take out the CC troops as soon as possible on its way into the first layer of the base. Make note of any air defense on the side of the base you're going to attack that can snipe your funneling dragons and take out your healers too quickly. Number 3, make note of the location of the town hall, the Eagle Artillery, Inferno Towers, and the Expos, so basically all high DPS defenses, and if possible, attack at an angle that will let your army take out the Eagle Artillery and the Infernos as soon as possible. Please note, Town Hall 13 and Town Hall 12 will both use the following opening funnel. Number 4, after determining the best angle and the side you'll be attacking, start by deploying your 4 Earthquake spells to open up the core, then deploy your E-Drag to begin funneling on one corner. Try not to deploy your E-Drag where it can be immediately targeted by an air defense or single target Infernos before it can complete the funnel. Number 5, on the opposite corner, you'll be using 2 Pekkas backed up by 2 Wizards to close the funnel and deploy your Pekkas so that they will join the rest of the army as it completes the funnel. If for some reason your Electro Dragon does go down to like a Seeking Air Mine unexpectedly, you can use 1 Pekka and a Wiz on each corner to complete the funnel. Please note, for Town Hall 11, you can use the Baby Drag and 1 Pekka and 1 Wizard to close the funnel on the opposite side. Town Hall 10 will use a Baby Dragon on the opposite corners to establish the funnel, and use the 2 jump spells to move through the base. Maximize the jump spell locations to access the Inferno towers, and use the freeze spell to protect your armies from expos and Inferno combos, and also to make sure you can protect the Barbarian King from single target Infernos. Number 6, after the funnel is complete, deploy your remaining 3 Pekkas in a line, backed up by your 4 healers. Spread them out so they're equally spaced, 1 healer on each Pekka, and they're going to take out the remaining outside structures, and that's going to pull your army into the base. Now you want to deploy your jump spell in the middle, then deploy the siege barracks in the center, followed by your king, your warden, the queen, and then your bowlers as quickly as possible. Please note, if the base has a shallow single target Inferno on the side where you're attacking, you can drop your bowlers before dropping your heroes instead of afterwards to help combat that. Number 8, deploy your first rage spell as the army moves into the first layer of the base to supercharge your main army and the healers. Then you're going to want to
Hold up.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Okay guys, I've got another update to this raid. Something that is actually going to allow you to really maximize those hogs, especially at Town Hall 13 and Town Hall 12. It has to do with how and when you release your heal spell. Keep in mind guys that when you typically deploy the heal spell on the front half of the raid as the main part of the army is pushing into the core, you can typically forego dropping the healer at that point and saving them for your hogs. Usually with a well-placed Grand Warden ability, along with the healers being under rage, you can usually jumpstart or supercharge your troops' life points, and then you can actually save the heal spell for the hogs as they circle the base. And because you're usually looking at a 45 cam space CC, using the heal spell on those hogs actually gives you a ton of value. If you had maybe 4 or 5 hogs, it may not go that far, but because you're looking at legit 9 hogs, it's definitely enough to keep up with that heal spell. So something to think about. I know iHateYou has put out a video on that, and he recommends using the heal spell for the hogs. And as we know, iHateYou is probably one of the best players in the game. So shout out to iHateYou.
Now back to our show.
Deploy your poison spell as needed to help destroy the defensive CC troops. Number 9, your raid spell will be used to power through the Inferno Tower's high DPS clusters, Eagle Artillery, as you approach the core. If possible, place the spell so you can lead into or even take out the Town Hall or the Giga Inferno. Number 10, make the most of your hero abilities. Keep an eye on those single target Infernos that can lock onto your heroes, especially the Royal Champion and the Barbarian King, and use their special ability as needed before their health gets too low. Number 11, use the Grand Warden Eternal Tome ability as your army encounters the highest concentration of DPS on the way to the core and through the base. Typically, Inferno Towers, Giga Infernos, Expos, Scattershot clusters, combined with too many Eagle Artillery shots and the Tornado spell will inflict the most damage to your army, and that's where you want to use your Eternal Tome. Number 12, if everything goes the way it typically should, you're going to use your Barbarian King, Archer Queen, and the Royal Champion. You're going to use those abilities during the last part of the raid. the healers will usually settle on your Pekkas or on a hero, and they'll basically keep the rest of the army alive until the end as the troops circle. Make sure you deploy your cleanup to take out any buildings that might have been skipped over. Number 13, guys, the final step with the raid objectives, collect your 3-star. So OP, guys, I can't stress that enough. That's going to lead me to the couple last things I want to remind you. Got to make sure that you don't forget these items. Again, the opening funnel is the be-all, end-all. I can't say that enough. It is the most important aspect of this raid, so you've got to make sure it's your top priority. The next thing that you don't want to forget, make the most of your Barbarian King and the Royal Champion. Never let their health dip below halfway or allow any single target Infernos to lock onto them before you can use the ability. The last thing that you want to remember, keep an eye on your Archer Queen. Try to save her ability until the second half of the raid. It's going to be very, very important, especially when taking out those island single target Infernos. If you know what I'm talking about, the ones that are spaced just so perfect so no other troop can target them, and they'll eat away at your army, especially being in single target mode. So definitely something I want to remind you guys. Now that's going to be it, guys. Hey guys, before we watch the Town Hall 13 3-star replays, I did kind of want to give you guys a quick reminder that for your heal spell placement, you're going to want to try and save that for your Hogs that come out of the CC. You're also going to want to make sure that you're dropping your Royal Champion in tandem with those Hogs. So once the Siege Barracks actually goes down, you want to spot where you're going to be putting down your Royal Champion, so that way you can kind of tank for the Hogs, and then as they move into splash damage, you're going to want to utilize that heal spell. You're going to see that with a couple of the replays, the heal spell was actually used on the kill squad in the middle part of the attack, which I'm not going to say it's not going to kill the raid, but like I said, you're definitely going to get a lot more by using the heal spell on the Hogs, as well as using the Royal Champion to tank for the Hogs. So I just wanted to give you guys that quick update. Now back to the replays. We're going to break everything down. We'll start with 13, 12, 11, and 10. So starting, of course, with the very beginning, guys, plan out your Earthquake spells. Make sure you've got a nice, good value for that, so troops can move through the core and access those high level high importance defenses. And then after that, you're going to start setting up your funnel. Make sure you get good value for the E-Drag. Watch for any air defense, and then you're going to bring down your Pekkas. Once the funnel is set, then you're going to drop your regular Pekkas, the healers, followed by the Siege Barracks, followed by your heroes, followed by your bowlers. Once that's done, of course, you got to make sure you jump into the first layer of the base, and then from there you're going to rage into that first layer, heal your troops as they come up against the CC troops, along with any high DPS clusters, and then you're going to rage them as they process the other structures, moving through the core, taking out, of course, the Giga Inferno, taking out as much structures as possible. And then once your troops get to this point, guys, it's pretty much wham bam, thank you ma'am. At this point, the healers will usually keep up whatever is left of your army, and between the Pekkas that are left standing, the Hogs that will typically take out any stragglers as far as defense, it is so hard to combat this raid and even set up a base that can actually defend it. So definitely make sure you guys commit this stuff to memory, because it is going to help you once you get to war and you're attacking max bases. So there you have it, another 3-star. Okay, so here we have another Town Hall 13. This one does, of course, have a scatter shot. We're going to go ahead and open up the core with the EQ spells, and then we're going to go ahead and attack the side. Of course, if we can grab the CC, we want to take that out as soon as possible, but the Eagle Artillery is very important, so if we can grab that, we want to get that ASAP as well. So once you establish that funnel, guys, it's so easy to get this raid going. You're going to drop your 3 Pekkas, followed by your healers in a line, and then you're going to make sure you jump into the base. Then it's Siege Barracks, Siege Barracks, heroes, then your bowlers, and then from there, you're just going to go ahead and manage your spells accordingly. As they move into the base, you're going to rage your troops. That way they can take out that first layer, And then as you move into the next layer, as you process those defenses and move into the core, you want to use your Grand Warden ability to get the most out of the Untitled Tome, and then Rage into the core, making sure that you keep an eye on any single target Infernos that can lock on to your heroes and take them out too quickly. By the time the main part of the army works through all those defenses and the Hogs come out of the Siege Barracks, there really is nothing left that can do too much damage to them. So they will usually circle the base and take out whatever else is left. So here we have another 13v13. And again, you're pretty much trying to make sure you can take out the Clan Castle troops. You want to take out the Eagle Artillery. That's always a priority as you move into the main part of the base. So you're going to want to take that out. And then you also want to make sure that, if possible, attack the side that has a lot of splash damage. That way, when your Hogs finally get released, they don't have to run into a complete brick wall. So here you notice that once we've gotten the funnel established, the troops are going to go right into the core. And even though this base has a funky layout, we're still able to get everything processed. And some of the army does end up circling, but the main part of the army goes in, takes out the core, takes out the Infernos, ends up taking out the Eagle, and from there, even the Electro Dragon ends up staying up and ends up doing a lot of damage on the right-hand side. So the best part about this army is the fact that by the end, usually the healers will still be up. They'll still keep the main part of your army alive, or they'll redirect and target like the Queen, and then it's going to be it's going to give you an advantage as you go to the second half of the raid. Okay, so here you have Town Hall 12. As you guys can see, there's no Royal Champion. So you're going to start it off the same way. Town Hall 12 and Town Hall 13 has the same army camp space, so you don't have to change your troops. You're just going to go ahead and do the exact same deployment for Town Hall 13. And the same thing for the spells. So this one is pretty much rinse, wash, repeat. Once you've deployed your Earthquake spells, you're going to establish your corner funnels. And then from there, you're going to bring in the main part of your army into the core of the base. And then you're going to manage your spells, Rage. Typically, you'll drop a poison spell in there, of course, as the CC defensive troops converge. And then make sure you get a nice early use of the Grand Warden Tome. Make sure you keep an eye on your hero abilities. I know they did make an update to where your hero ability will automatically go off in the event that your hero is going to basically go down. There's some people that need it, but generally speaking, I try to make the most of my Queen ability anyways. So here we have Town Hall 11, guys. You're going to be using the Earthquake spells at the beginning, just like Town Hall 13 and Town Hall 12. Because there is a slightly different camp space for Town Hall 11, you won't have the 5 Pekkas. You will still have the E-Drag, so you'll be able to get help with that opening funnel, but you'll have to use 1 Pekka and a Baby Dragon to help establish the funnel on the other side, and then you can bring in the main set of your army into the core of the base. That way you can still allow the Pekkas, the healers, the bowlers to do everything they need to do and put in that work. So there you have it, guys. Town Hall 11, just as strong as every other Town Hall. I know that some of these armies, they kind of diminish depending on the Town Hall that you're using. So sometimes it's not as strong at maybe Town Hall 10 versus Town Hall 12. And that's understandable. But this is one army that I have noticed is pretty strong across the board. I will say, and that there's one caveat to that. I don't want to, say never, but I would like to mention that Town Hall 10, I have noticed a slight drop off in some attacks, but we'll get into that later. Okay, here we go. Always very important to plan out the raid. In war, you'll have a much greater advantage versus if you're just kind of going through and doing some trophy pushing. But it's always going to be crucial to make sure you get the most out of your Earthquake spells. On this army, I ended up actually saving the jump spell at the very end of the spell deployment, just because I knew I could get Pekka to go in and take out the first layer of walls with that causing too much of damage to my army. But this is going to be Town Hall 10, guys. This is where the game shifts a little bit and goes into that all jump spell, where you end up using 2 jump spells instead of Earthquake spells. Obviously, there's much less camp space for Town Hall 10, so that has something to do with it. In any event, it's all about that opening funnel. So make sure whatever you do, you use your baby dragons to get that funnel established. And then from there, it's the same general approach. You're going to drop your Pekkas, followed up by the healers, followed up by the Seige Barracks, followed up by your heroes, and then bowlers. And then, manage your spells, rage, freeze, which is one thing that's pretty cool about Town Hall 10. You do get a freeze spell that you can actually use to help freeze any multi-target infernos or single-target infernos, any clusters of expos. I know Town Hall 10 obviously doesn't have like an Eagle Artillery, so usually, that's the type of thing that you'll want to safeguard against. One last replay, I should say. And again, this is Town Hall 10. This was actually what you would call a 10v11. I know the infernos were kind of low, as were, a couple of the archer towers, but it did have 4 expos along with an Eagle Artillery. So this was more a matter of just showing you that the army can also hold up to a Eagle Artillery, but you do have to make sure you have higher level heroes. I definitely wouldn't attack a Town Hall 11 as a Town Hall 10 unless you had very strong heroes. So there you have it, guys. I tried not to have this be super drawn out. I wanted to make it as concise and organized as possible. That way, whatever Town Hall level you are, whether it's 10, 11, 12, or 13, you would still be able to break everything down and still learn this attack. So really appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. Do me a favor, go down in the comments. Make sure you guys let me know what Town Hall you are and what type of success you're having with this army. As much feedback as you guys can provide. I want to make sure that I'm bringing you guys the content you want to see. Also, let me know if you guys prefer the combined format. For example, if you like the fact that I put it all into one video, so that way it's easy and organized, or do you prefer that I break it down, one video for each Town Hall? I'm curious to know. But with that being said, really appreciate you guys watching the video all the way to the end. Trizzle tuning out.